Denny Saunders, thank you for being part of episode 3 of Know the Player.
Thank you for having me.
We were rained out yesterday.
Yep, a little bit.
Today we're in your hometown of Dunedin at beautiful Hammock Park.
Yep, born and raised.
Okay, so every year the league has like 25 new players, and I don't always know them all. In fact, a lot of them I don't know. And so I go out to Facebook and I try to match up names to faces so that if I see, the new players, I know who they are. And I was doing that, and your profile just like popped out to me. I was like, whoa, I want to know more about this.
Right.
So the first thing there were two things that popped out to me. We'll talk about the second one later. The first thing that popped out to me was that you are not only a ball golfer, but you were a ball golf professional working at Brooker Creek.
Yep.
8-9 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, over 10 now.
Over 10 now. And that was very interesting, especially seeing, and I see that from St. Petersburg College you got some kind of schooling or a degree in the PGA.
Well, while I was going to St. Pete College, I was also passed my playing test to get into the PGA of America. And I was going through my level 1 and level 2 apprenticeship to get into the PGA of America.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to school there and also doing that. And it's about a 6-year program to get into the PGA of America.
Well, I want to hear all about this. I suppose you probably come from a golf family.
No, I didn't pick up a golf club till I was 16, I want to say, for the first time.
Is that right?
My dad played a little bit when he was younger, stopped playing, and then had a work function that involved golf. And he asked if I wanted to go to the range, so we went to the range, hit a couple balls, and then went and played a round of golf. And my first time on the course, I beat him, and he had been playing his whole life. So it's a little how I got started into it.
You're a real prodigy when it comes to that.
Grew up playing hockey my whole life since I was 5, so I guess the swing came a little more natural.
Oh, that's awesome. So what did you discover first, ball golf or disc golf, seeing that you were so close to Hammock Park here?
Ball golf, actually. Started playing disc golf when I was going to St. Pete College. And needed something to do between classes, me and a couple buddies when we were going there, and we started playing at Coachman. And then met a couple guys through Coachman and found out about this course. Zach Richardson, C-Dog, Joe PG, a bunch of those guys. We used to play the BFO out here every single day in the afternoon. And so the two kind of went together, and that's how it started.
Wow, so you've been playing for a while.
I took about a little over 10 years off. After college, getting into the PGA, just friends moving around, life. And now just about a year and a half ago got back into it again.
So let's hear some of your thoughts on the similarities between ball golf and disc golf. Which ones you kind of like best?
They're definitely very similar, and I'm starting to now approach disc golf more like ball golf in the mental game. Learning how sometimes to lay up on certain putts or shots or playing just certain areas. Golf is not always a game about par 5s, hit it down the middle and hit it on the green in 2. Zach Johnson had won the Masters a few years ago by laying up on every par 5, which is unheard of in Augusta.
Yeah, and Ricky Wysocki won his first world championship, kind of like toning it back a little bit.
So sometimes you got to take both of those and learn when to play to your strengths, when to go for birdies, when to just take a putt and put it under the basket to tap in for your par rather than running a 30-foot putt with water behind it. So there's a lot of similarities like that. And it's funny how my games go together. Putting is probably my weakness in both games. So that's what I'm working on now. When I was in high school, I joined the team, I think, in my sophomore year. And I was only on the team to play free golf. So I was never played in any matches. It was just backup in case somebody was sick or couldn't make it. But I did do that in high school, like I said, in I think my sophomore year and on.
I think that thing that you were talking about, they call that golf. Because Barry Schultz, I remember one thing he said there's two types of players. There's the throwers and there's the golfers.
Right.
And I think golf is really what makes it fascinating. All those different decisions that you have to make. I mean, there's literally thousands of them.
So many different ways you can throw a disc, swing a club. I mean, you got someone like Jim Furyk who has never had a coach in his life. And disc golf, most people teach themselves how to play. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. That's fascinating stuff. Now let's get to the second thing that really popped out to me. Okay, I noticed right away that there's a love affair between you and your wife.
Yep.
Met in 2013. got engaged in 2015. 2 years later, married in 2017. You see the pattern here? 13, 15, 17, 19. It's time for something to happen, and I think something is going to happen in December.
Baby number 2 is due. My son just had his first birthday on Father's Day, and baby 2 is due in December.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
I think I saw where your wife called him a fishing buddy.
Yep. We don't know if it's a boy or girl yet, but that's how we announce it to the family, saying I do a lot of fishing, saying that we're going to have another fishing buddy, another person aboard the boat soon.
So you're a fisherman as well?
I do.
I got a question for you, and I'm only going to give you 3 options. A, B, or C.
Oh, man.
You have that beard more because you're A, a disc golfer, B, a ball golfer, or C, a fisherman?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say... Now, that's a long story and how it came, but...
Well, let's hear it.
Okay, well, I've been married twice. This is my second marriage. My first wife hated facial hair, so first thing I did when I got divorced, grow a beard. Why not? So I always had a short beard. I started working at Cisco, and we're in and out of kitchens, restaurants a lot, and nobody has facial hair in that business because you're supposed to wear a beard net back in kitchens and everything like that. So when I started, it was very short. And as I've been working there longer, I noticed nobody had facial hair, but it was never a thing that you weren't allowed to. My current wife, Alex, has no problem with it, so I just one day started letting it grow. And nobody's ever said anything, so figured I don't have any hair up top, might as well let the beard grow. Now that it's becoming more of a normal thing.
Oh, it looks good. So
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I have another question. I saw last night on Grant's after show, he mentioned that you two went to the same high school. Was that
We did.
Garden Springs?
Dunedin.
Dunedin High School. I know you're a couple years ahead of him, but I got to know this. Was Grant like the captain of the football team, the quarterback of the football team? Did he date the
So we just
prom
know-
queen? Was
Yeah.
he the big man on campus?
Honestly, until recently, just coming up, meeting each other and getting into the game together, just now, I was older than he was. I was a few years ahead of him. So through mutual friends, found out that we both went to school together, along with Ricky Rogers, Brian Bowen, a lot of those guys we all went to school with. I used to be pretty good friends with Ricky back in high school too. So when he was playing baseball.
That was another question I wanted to ask you. There seems like there's a core group of guys who kind of got together and decided, hey, let's join this summer league this year. Is that true?
Yeah, so I'm going back to the hockey story. I played hockey. Brad Prudian, very good friend of mine. He's down from Michigan. We played hockey together, and then somehow he got involved back in disc golf and asked me one day if I wanted to go play Oldsmar right before they opened, before one of our games, because we played in Oldsmar. So I told him, I was like, I couldn't make it that day. I ended up going to Colorado to see a friend who I used to play disc golf with 15 years ago, and there's a course in his neighborhood, got me playing. So as soon as I came back, I called Brad, and I was like, hey, let's go play some disc golf. I was hooked again. And then so me and Brad started playing. We met EJ playing, and now all of us, and Kevin Wisher, and we all kind of were talking about it, going back and forth, and I think Brad bit the bullet and signed up first, and then Texas all was like, you got to sign up now. And we all signed up to join, meet new people, and have some fun.
I kind of figured that was the case, especially with EJ. I thought I saw you mention something about maybe you played him, right?
Oh, I did, unfortunately. He got me on the last hole.
Oh, yeah.
Got in my head, I should say.
Okay, so how did you do last night? Now, I'll have to say this, okay? I have never seen you play before, but I walked past when you were teeing off on hole 15.
15. Okay.
At Cliff. And I was quite surprised because the wind was a little contrary to the shot that you were going to throw, but you threw a towering sidearm out around the tree. How did that turn out?
It was about 25 feet, and the little death putt, though, I was to the right of the basket, putting downhill with the water behind it. It just nipped off the top of the basket and sat down right there.
Oh, well, that's usually when it nips off the top of the basket there. It's going in the water.
Yeah.
But,
I was just trying to soft little floater in there to soft run, and it didn't go in, but oh well.
So, how did you do in your match?
I got down early, 1 or 2 strokes, and then coming down towards the last 7, 8 holes, I slowly picked away at it and went 2 up going into the second to last hole, and
you were
cruised
playing.
in.
You were playing.
Doug Chase. Yep,
Yeah.
Doug Chase.
Who actually was episode 2 of
He was.
Know the Player.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, once Doug gets back, he's going to be hard to beat.
I know we played in BFO a couple weeks together too, and got talking. He was telling me a little bit about his story, how he's just coming back. So I'm glad to see him back out playing, and feeling better.
Well, that's awesome, and thanks for allowing me to interview you, and
Definitely. Thank you for having me.